Hello.
Marvin, I was gonna say, you want to test? That's good. I can hear you.
Okay.
It's way clearer than your other one too, the
No.
picture. Nancy, you have a video. I can't hear you though.
What's making your fan run, Monique? The wind outside?
Oh no, I just had it on. I just turned it off. I figured it would be annoying for people watching that, so. Nancy, I just want to make sure. I can't tell if you're like trying to talk or not. You can unmute, right? You can't? Okay. let me try to unmute you.
Yes, I can.
Okay,
yes,
there we
I
go.
Can.
Okay. All right. Well, you're unmuted now.
Okay. You want me to be or not?
Whatever you want.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
If you're like moving around, put it on mute. But.
Okay. Or if I'm eating.
Yeah, if you're eating, or if you want to add stuff to the conversation that's completely off topic.
How do I get into the conversation again? Monique, how do I get into the conversation?
I was teasing you. I'll bring you up at youth if that works.
That works.
Okay.
Good morning, or good afternoon.
Hey, everybody. Yeah.
I have friends bringing groceries, so I may have to leave for a bit to go let them in.
No problem.
Depends on what time they get here.
Okay. Patty, that's you, right? 2990.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yes, it is, Monique.
Cool. I don't have my note taker. Erin's been taking notes and sending them out instantly. Let's see if she's going to jump on. Cool. And 4590, that's Carol Taylor, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Yay, Erin, the note taker. Hi, Erin.
Hey, sorry I'm a little late.
No, you're fine. I was just like, I wasn't sure if I should try to take them. Okay, cool. So, there's a few new people who might jump on, but I don't see anybody right now. So we'll just go through the usual. So Gary, do you want to start us off? Yeah, Gary's on here, yeah. But Gary, you're muted if you are trying to talk. There you go.
Should work.
Yep.
Okay. Not the time to let our guard down, even though cabin fever is causing frustration, anger, in many cases depression. I'm happy to see more and more people wearing masks when outside and trying to maintain the distance when in stores. That's an improvement over last week, and last week was a big improvement over the week before. We need to continue to check on our friends and neighbors and families, including those who live away. Simple phone call to check in can work wonders for someone's psyche. I know that from some of the people I've called. They're very appreciative, and I know some of you are. I would urge you to take everything you read on social media with a grain of salt and try to ascertain its authenticity. There are a lot of falsehoods being circulated on magic cures that, if believed, can actually do harm. I urge you to trust your doctor and the medical professionals, not the charlatans who have agendas and are often have profit motives. I don't know about you, but I get flooded with emails lately trying to sell masks, hand sanitizer, and other COVID-related needs. I don't trust them any more than the emails promoting remedies for hair loss and erectile dysfunction. I also get
Oh, we started to lose you, Gary.
what's
Yeah,
that?
we lost you. Oh, I think we can hear you now. It's breaking up quite a lot, but I think we just barely started to lose you. Try again.
Yesterday's post on the listserv about rescuing cows, goats, chickens, and other animals from being put down went viral, as most thought the proposed closing of DTC was the reason. Unfortunately, the person who posted it had failed to check their source, and it was false. By the time it was corrected today, the damage had been done. Just one more example of why you got to be careful about what you see on social media and what you believe. I think that when this whole thing is over, that we as a town, we as a region, really need to concentrate on moving forward on connectivity to the internet in areas that can't get it. Obviously, those of you who get cable TV and so forth in the center of town do well, and some of you get fiber optic, but others of us don't. It's becoming especially important when students are staying home and need to be able to connect, and those who are trying to work from home. So I think that needs to be a goal for all of us, and not give up on that once this pandemic is over. I also urge you to get outside and soak up some sun when possible. That helps. Probably not today. Breaking a long route, take your mind off your problems for a while, at least, and exercise does help your body and mind. And with that, I would say, I just leave you with one thought a friend of mine sent me today. He said, if you keep a glass of wine in each hand, you can't accidentally touch your face. That's it for me.
Thanks, Gary. Dan, Perry, and I think I saw Ryan on here too. Do either of you have anything that you wanted to share?
I do not.
Okay. Ryan, did you have
I don't
anything?
either.
Okay, cool. Thank you. As far as communications go, the yard sign should be in this week. And I think and just keep trying to keep Facebook and the website and stuff updated. Carol Freeman sent me a bunch of stuff to put on from like Bernie's campaign that had or as senator, I guess, that I have not added all of that on there. Some of it's on there already, so I will do that. And then as people are sending stuff for the whole group, I've been trying to forward that out. Hopefully it's not too much stuff. I think along with Gary's comment about the internet, so there are through Microsoft, and there's one person through the state that that different towns can get hotspots. And I don't know, Danielle or Bruce, if anybody's like brought that up, because the schools are already hotspots, but I don't know about, and I know the town offices have basically public Wi-Fi if you get a password every day, which doesn't help with the VA being locked every day. but I kind of wonder if there's other, like I opened up the space on main Wi-Fi, which I can't really do in the future as it's locked down for members. But so I don't know if there's some opportunity to tap in to basically get some of those hotspots from Microsoft for Bradford. I mean, maybe the library would be a good spot. It really has to like run off, although I don't know if the internet's fast enough. You basically have to have an electric connection and a good internet connection.
We are open though. We,
Yeah.
our internet is accessible out in the parking lot
Yeah, you always
all the
have it,
time
yeah.
anyway.
Yeah. Okay.
And we just changed that a little bit, so it's a little bit better now.
Yep. So I don't know.
Monique,
Others. Yeah.
the Congo Church has Wi-Fi, and I don't believe you have to have a password. If
Okay.
you park in the southern parking lot, you have access to it.
Okay, that's good to know.
Okay.
Yeah, so maybe we already have enough, but if anybody thinks of another spot that should have public Wi-Fi, there are those free, basically it's free hotspots that need to be connected. They'll help connect them and then they stay in place moving forward. You don't have to give them back. So it's the opportunity now if we wanted to add some to town for free, which would otherwise cost, that we should take advantage of if we can.
Monique, can I ask you a question about that? So because I saw that and I was checking into it, but is that something that would, I mean, there are requirements that you have to meet, like we have internet access,
Yeah.
so we might not meet the requirement, but
Right.
is it something, do you know, that would be above what I've got going on here now? Should I?
It would run off of your existing connection, so it wouldn't help. It would probably wouldn't be worth it.
Thank you.
But if some, like, I don't know, only things I could think of, like the Old Church Theater, like places with parking lots and potentially internet. I don't even know if they have internet, but just something to think about.
There's not.
Yeah.
Internet
Hold on, Justina, go ahead.
Sorry, there's not internet at the
Okay. Never mind. Gary.
There is internet at the senior center.
There is.
Might be one. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, that's a good idea, Carol. Do you want to maybe check in with the senior center team if that's something they would be into trying out, and then they can just forward the resources to them?
Yeah, I'll check in with Vicky.
Okay, cool. Gary, did you have something you wanted to add?
I was just going to ask if Ted or Ryan, if the town couldn't leave theirs on during this pandemic rather than changing the password every day. They can definitely go back to changing the password every day once everything's opened up, but would that be an option?
I assume it would be. I'll check into it and find out what's involved with that. I honestly don't know exactly what the process is, but I'll look into it.
Cool, thanks, Ted. Yeah, I know more and more people are using the space on main Wi-Fi every day. They must be parking out in front.
I need to ask something.
Go ahead. Sure.
I was going to talk about it during youth time, but you're on the subject of internet. I have 4 mentees that are in the mentoring project who have no access to the internet. So I'm curious as to how they're supposed to do their schoolwork. Maybe Bruce has an answer.
I do not. I think the best option for them is to contact their high school or school principal, and he or she will put them in touch with the tech coordinator in each school. I mean, I know that there are options, but I'm not personally familiar with all of them.
Is it true, Bruce, that the governor has said that schools should not send home paper assignments?
No, there's specific guidance on the safety protocols around sending home paper items or books or whatnot. They're pretty strict, and we're trying to avoid that to the greatest degree possible.
But aren't the lunches in paper?
The lunches are in, well, I don't know if they're in, I think they're in plastic bags, actually.
Oh.
Yeah.
Does that make a difference?
I don't, honestly, I'm not an expert in all we're doing is following. Our school nurses have promulgated protocols that are based on the advice from Vermont Department of Health and Agency of Ed, and we're just following those as closely and as carefully as we can.
Thank you.
Yep.
Our school in Randolph, I know, does have people are able to pick things up, even like art supplies and things like that. And they have some kind of protocol that they have worked out to do that. And kids who don't have internet access, they do send home paper packets. I don't know how they do it, but I know they do it.
We have basically early on we did that, and now we've really diminished that, and in some cases are sending things by mail.
Cool. Thank you. For volunteer wise, I don't think there's too many updates. I guess the one thing is we've held off the poster just to basically go out with the yard signs, and just waiting kind of to finalize everything with the town type stuff. Then as far as yard sign placements, there's one volunteer who's just good with GIS mapping stuff, and another that works for VTrans, so we're kind of mapping out the 20 best spots in town for putting yard signs on back roads and things like that. So we can share that list with everybody for feedback once we get that. But I think that's it for volunteer stuff. We haven't had any requests go through the form yet, or to the phone number yet. One thing is Ryan Lockwood, I basically edited the letter that went out to the town and just to add the hotline number, and then he made copies of it to put at Hannaford for people who hadn't noticed it in the mail, but so he could hand it to people when they asked for town resources. So yeah. Let's see. Town, state government, Ryan Lockwood.
Select board will be meeting tomorrow night, where we will ratify the vote to make Bradford Resilience an official town committee, so that volunteers can be covered under the town insurance. There's not, I don't think there's a whole lot of other town stuff. And then if Sarah's on the call, if she has any updates for state.
I don't have a whole lot of updates. We're trying our first remote house floor session this week, which will allow us to have full participation of 150 House members in passing legislation, just as if we were in Montpelier in person. The Senate's been doing this already for a week and a half, but they only have 30 members, so it's a little more manageable to do a Zoom meeting with 30 members. So it's going to be slow and methodical, and it's going to be restricted to just COVID related legislation for the first several weeks, I'm sure. And we have a lot of little pieces of COVID related bills to pass that we have, become aware of over the last couple of weeks. So that will be tomorrow and Friday that we attempt to do some work on passing legislation, and I can certainly answer any questions if folks have them.
Thanks, Sarah. One other thing for town stuff is that the Planning Commission is continuing to meet via Zoom. So we have a public hearing next we're doing two public hearings, right, Ted?
Yes.
Next Thursday for the Lund case, which is a house on Main Street, and then also for the Copeland furniture building downtown near Community National Bank. So if anybody, those are all on the town website under the Planning Commission's page as far as Zoom details and stuff, if anybody wants to join those. So.
Monique, if I could add just two more things for
Totally.
town business. Last week, I went on a little bit of a rant saying how disappointed I was that we'd gotten guidance that the road crew really needed to restrict itself only to emergency repairs. Last Friday, the governor modified those guidelines, and as long as people remain socially distant and not in contact with each other, that sort of work can continue. So I'm pleased to say our road crew has always been following those guidelines, and they're doing all their springtime work that they need to do. And the other thing is, I think people are pretty well aware of this, but just in case you're not, Green Up Day has been postponed. I believe the new date is sometime in late May. It won't surprise me if it gets pushed back again. But for the first Saturday in May, Green Up Day is definitely postponed. That's all I've got.
Is the state highway department still manning the bridges?
I've not seen it, but I honestly don't know. Good question.
May 30th is the new date for Green Up, with the provision that it may be postponed again.
Okay, May 30th.
The state was manning the bridges yesterday,
Oh, there you go.
sorry to say.
Yeah, I've made a number of crossings and they're at every single crossing.
I have a couple of town things to add. The Bradford Conservation Commission has canceled the June 6th Race to the Top. However, during the month of June, we're going to have a virtual race, and there will be information coming out about that soon. And the proceeds are going to benefit the Bradford Area Food Shelf and the Space on Main. And it will work that people can run it on their own. The route will be marked, and then there will be a site where they can record their time. And then at the end, all those times will be posted. There won't be any prizes this year, unfortunately, except for pride in doing it and supporting good causes. And then the second thing is that the tree giveaway that was scheduled for June 8th has now been changed to August 22nd and 23rd. Actually, giveaway will be on the 23rd at the Town Highway Garage. That's it.
Thanks, Nancy. Awesome. Food access, Aisleen?
I don't really have anything more to report, and I put into the group chat that in regards to the question about Nancy was saying and Bruce maybe about paper and plastic and stuff, it was posted in the on harvard.edu that the virus seems to last a little bit longer on plastic, actually like 2 days longer than on paper. So just clear that up.
Well, thanks. Ryan, do you have any updates from Hannaford?
Yeah. So the governor on the 17th put the executive order into motion that all essential employees have to wear masks now, face coverings of some sort. So we do. All of our associates are required to use masks now if they're going to be out on the sales floor. Other than that, we're still experiencing a lot of supply chain issues. And other than that, I think that's it.
Cool. And Marcia, is there any updates since you're on from the food shelf that you want to share?
I have something from the food shelf.
Okay.
Go ahead. I talked to Jenny today, and she said that people have been very generous in donating money and food, but that their numbers are down, surprisingly, and they've actually been calling some of their regulars, and the people that they called didn't know that they were still open. So is there a way to do a better job of letting people know that there's still the food shelf is still available?
Okay.
Personal phone calls, again. Personal phone calls are the best outreach, especially those people that are not, they're typically not online either.
And I also asked you the question that came up in last week's meeting, and there is no documentation required. They never have required that.
Okay.
People don't have to prove their income or anything.
Okay, great. Carol, did you have
Monique, I think there's a sign out on Bradford Academy lawn that gives the hours for the food shelf.
Yeah, there is. Marcia, I saw that you unmuted. Did you want to add anything?
Yeah, not only are we calling them, but we are asking them, can we deliver it to you?
Okay. And Marcia, you're open every day now, right? Like 5 days a week, it looks like.
We'll deliver if people are not wanting to come. I think we're breaking up here.
Okay, all right. Thank you. Medical, pharmacy, mental health, Ayla?
I don't have a whole lot of updates. I think what we're focusing on this week is keeping our Facebook page updated with daily updates regarding recent numbers in the state of Vermont, and also topics such as food insecurity and getting those out. So we do a pretty good job of doing that. The other thing that we're trying to do is just get the word out that we are continuing to see patients. I think our numbers have declined quite a bit in patients in our schedules, and part of it appears to be that people are just not aware that that it's safe to contact us. We're encouraging that and encouraging people to reach out to their providers. So that involves doing some personal phone calls. I think all of the teams at the different clinics are reaching out to patients to let them know that. Other than that, I don't have much. Ashleen or Mike, do you guys have anything to add?
No, I don't have anything to add.
Okay, thank you. Erin, business, financial?
I don't think we have any updates that I can think of. If anyone else wants to chime in, Marvin, Brian, anybody?
Okay. And as I'm seeing, because there's new businesses or new programs for businesses coming through quite frequently, so I've been trying to keep up on those and put them on the website. But if anybody sees any, just feel free to forward. Cool. Support for seniors and adults, Carol Freeman.
I had an email this morning from Kate Williams, and she wasn't able to be here today. The issue that she raises is about the small senior care homes, and her concern that the staff there is getting pretty burned out. So I'm going to try to get the group together to talk about this and see what kinds of supports they identify that they need, so that we can figure out a way to support them.
Yeah, absolutely, Carolyn. If you get that too, I don't know if it's of any help, but we could reach out to the state collecting the volunteers, because they got a handful of people with medical background. So I'm comfortable reaching out to the person who's coordinating that, if that's helpful.
Yeah, I'll try to get more information from her.
Okay.
Other than that, Vicki says that the numbers of new people signing up for Meals on Wheels has slowed. So. Okay. She thinks we're reaching the people who need it.
Okay. Marianne, did you have anything you wanted to add?
Hello.
Hey.
Hi. Hi. I've just taken a call. I've got a source for cloth masks. I'm ordering some for a client.
All right.
Yeah, just trying to get supplies, and I feel that people they're getting a little worn thin. Caregivers, clients. So I did reach out. I gave one caregiver the mental health link for the Upper Valley Mental Health Services. There was a free, I think you might have sent it out, Monique, half hour. So I did give that to one caregiver. A lot of these caregivers don't have medical insurance because the nature of the work. So if there's any other resources that pop up around mental health support for caregivers, and that will be great. Clients mostly have, some support around that typically already, or can get some access to that through their providers. So those are my takeaways for the week.
Cool, thank you.
Yeah. Monique, I just wanted to add one thing, if you don't mind, to piggyback on that. The Upper Valley Integrated Wellness Association has their first meeting this Saturday. So with the alternative medicine practitioners in the area. So our hope is to create a list of services that people may not realize that some of these practitioners are able to offer virtually or in other creative ways, and get that out. So if I get you that list, I don't know where the most effective posting would be, but maybe on the town website, just to encourage. I think right now we're seeing a expected, but an increase in some certainly some mental health concerns, and anxiety and depression management is certainly something we need to be on top of.
Cool. Thanks, Ayla. Yeah, feel free to send that when you get it, and I'll put it on the. I'll send it to this whole group and then put it on the website and Facebook and stuff. Let's see. School spruce.
Well, briefly, I don't have a lot new. Actually, ironically, we're officially on spring break right now, which may have the only effect of that may be to reduce blood pressure on the part of parents trying to do homeschooling or virtual schooling. But that we are delivering food throughout the week, so that hasn't changed. And maybe Danielle can speak to this. I don't know. Both Danielle and I have been emailing Emily with the question of when and how to engage citizens in a process of looking at the budgets for OUUSD and Waits River, which are really amount to 4 of our schools, which don't have adopted budgets at this point. And that process is still on hold, as I understand, unless Danielle's been in touch this morning with Emily, because the state is still trying to figure out how it's going to handle the whole financial realm around school funding. So it's kind of a big question mark right now, but we're certainly aware of the desire of citizens to be involved, and we will act on that as soon as we reasonably can. I don't know if Danielle, if you've got anything newer.
I don't. I wish that I did. But yeah, I think, it's a waiting game at this point to try and figure out what the best next step is going to be, and to try and organize anything before we have a clearer picture moving forward would be just a disservice and frustrating, I think, for everybody at this juncture. So yeah, it's just sort of waiting to get a clearer idea of what the path forward is going to be. And find out what our options are. I can feel confident in that, our push as a district is to, allow there to be a community forum, to allow there to be those conversations that we usually have, get questions answered, get, a transparent budget out to people. Those things are givens. What that number is going to look like and what the process is going to look like are things we're not sure of. And I know that most of the districts and some of the conversations that I've been involved in is, do you still want to have a community vote? And most of the districts that I have that are in the same boat are very adamant that they still want to have some form of a vote, because they feel, and as we do, that is extremely important for our communities to be involved in that process. So that's information that's going up to the legislature and trying to sort of figure out how that's going to look going forward.
Hey, Danielle and Bruce, do we have any direction from either the state, or is it done by a district by district basis to figure out what the shape and the duration of the school year is going to be?
There'll be guidance coming from the Agency of Ed on that. It's basically a legal obligation of the agency to do that, but there is no, there are a lot of big questions around next year for sure, and there's no information on that at this point. But the agency has a legal responsibility to do that, so I'm sure they will at some point.
Thank you.
Nancy, did you have anything else you want to add for youth? Or did we get it already? Okay. Gail, did you have anything? Oh, hold on, Marvin.
Sarah, do I understand that some of the federal money that's coming in the next package is for supporting education, so that it might be coming to the state that then can be used to supplement the education fund that's taken a pounding?
So from what I understand, we're certainly hoping for that and advocating for that with the federal delegation. The question then becomes, how do you distribute that equitably across the state, given that some districts have, most districts have already passed a school budget, albeit based on the world as we knew it a month and a half ago. And some of those budgets failed and have to be revoted. And then of course there's districts like ours who haven't voted yet. So they're just trying to figure out how that all fits together and how to move forward equitably. And I'm doing my best to keep up with those conversations, but they're slow because they're all being done virtually like this.
So Sarah, I've got a follow-up question. I think you've, in a sense, just answered it, but just to be a little bit more specific, I have been concerned, being at OESU where we have 6 different school districts, and by pure happenstance, 2 of them have adopted budgets and 4 of them don't by virtue of their normal dates. And I just don't know if how fairness and equitable distribution of the really limited funds is going to work out. Maybe you don't know any more than we do about the agency and its projections for next year. It's there, but it has occurred to me that it wouldn't be fair for districts that happen to have dates in early March and have adopted budgets, and then other people are kind of left holding the bag. It wouldn't be fair to those children or those school districts. Has that at least been on the radar screen?
Yes, absolutely. And just to draw a slightly finer point on it, there have been some some folks who have suggested that the default should be that school districts simply operate at 80% of last year's budget or something arbitrary like that.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of school districts who are really coming forward and saying, whoa, wait a minute, we are still operating, and probably have more obligations at this moment. So don't tell us that the default is we're going to take a cut from last year's budget. So it's just, it's a slow process to figure out how we can safely hold budget votes and even honestly what it looks like for Vermonters' ability to pay their property taxes that go towards education in a timely manner as well.
Right. Thank you.
Gail?
Well, as far as the libraries go, there isn't a whole lot of change right now because we're not essential. And but like everybody else, we're discussing all the time how we're going to move forward and help people out, and everybody's websites are growing. And Ashley, do you think it's appropriate to speak about what we're planning?
I think we can talk about it as something that we are planning, but it's not definite right now. If you want to talk a little bit about it.
Yeah, jump in on me if I need some help. But so Ashley, myself, I guess Mike and Maureen Boardman are working on putting together a virtual teen speak where kids can Zoom like this, look at each other and see each other and express their anxieties, fears, issues that are going on, and maybe at least be able to and have some guidance from some professionals possibly to help them cope, or at least speak about it, verbalize it, put it out to each other. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. And maybe Mike can speak a little bit more to this too, but one of our big concerns is that we don't want to add this as another thing that families feel that they have to do, or that students feel that they have to do. It's really hopefully a positive environment or a positive platform for students to come together and talk to each other with an adult listening. But that being said, we know that you or teens and students and everybody is probably pretty sick of Zoom meetings and doing this kind of platform. So we're trying to figure out, I think we're having a hard time thinking of something else that can be done And hopefully we can use this platform in a even though it's still the computer, but still like a more dynamic way that is still engaging for young people.
And also we're talking about doing it through like sort of using the library as a means to support the idea of young people using the library. And then it's not an academic necessary, it's not a, you know, like a school mission or assignment, but it's really another resource that the community, you know, community resource.
Thanks, Gil.
Just to piggy on that, I think it's also, there's an empowerment piece to it, and really giving the teens a voice. I think this was supposed to have been done in person starting January, February, and it got put off. So I think, you know, with the rest of the school year being so time limited, this small portion of it would be kind of a setup for maybe the fall. Hopefully more in-person stuff can be done then. But it could be a cool project.
Cool. Thanks, Mike. Churches, Carol Taylor.
They're pretty much still going the same route that they have been. I did speak with Donald Dacey this week, and they seem to be doing Zoom for their services, and they're making phone calls to their parishioners. So it's pretty much the same. There's nothing new to add.
Okay. Thanks, Carol. Marcia, I did see your note about asking you who decides when churches can reopen. I didn't see Sarah respond and she's jumped off, but I can send out the chat questions too in the minutes.
I think we discussed it last night at our diaconate meeting, and I think we were going to go through the, I think Pastor Jeff was going to ask the, Marcia, step in. What's the name of the, I guess Marcia's not on there, but anyway, our
Here I am.
yeah, where is Pastor Jeff going to check on as far as us reopening?
Okay, he is going to consult with the Vermont Conference of the United Church of Christ.
Yes.
But that would be in conjunction with the State Department of Health. But I also had put out a question of who gives the authorization to reopen a church? Is it the church, or do we wait for the state to say it's okay?
I don't know. We can ask Sarah. I mean, I'm assuming you would go by state guidelines at first, but that's all I can assume.
But it wasn't the state that closed the churches, correct? It was the conference?
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm not sure, but we can check into that.
In the church, he actually made the decision.
Yeah, Marcia, you're breaking up a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. To be continued. Housing, I don't see Marcy, so I didn't know Linda, or I think I saw Ramsey earlier. Oh yeah, Ramsey. Either of you have any updates from Capstone?
No real updates on housing. Our fuel is pretty much done. Fuel assistance is done for the year. In desperate situations, obviously, we try to help direct people to other places. Sometimes we might have some discretionary money. Housing is sort of still same situation. I have people looking for housing, and there's not really a lot of openings at the moment, not many rentals. I haven't looked at Bradford this week to see if there are any, but there haven't been for a little while. Usually May is usually a time when a lot of housing kind of opens up and people are moving, but I have a feeling this year that's probably not going to happen. Oh, one thing is there had been some work the Upper Valley Haven was pretty involved in with trying to set up a recovery site for people who had COVID-19. It's been decided that that's staying up in Burlington and not needed elsewhere in the state right now. So that is closing, but the Upper Valley Haven is with some other partners starting a group that is going to focus on housing and trying to, it was fairly focused on homelessness before, and this is going to be still working on homelessness, but also focusing on prevention, because we feel like there's going to be a lot more struggles for people with being behind on rent coming up in the near future. So.
Well, thank you. Linda, did you have anything you wanted to add?
Yeah, so the piece on fuel rims, you haven't seen this yet, but we got some information today that the state is considering whether or not they may open up additional funds. So we're not positive yet, but there may be additional assistance coming for fuel. It would probably be limited to certain income guidelines. So it's worth a call to us. We don't know at what point that would open up, but if people have a need around that, they can call, and if it's open, we would connect them.
Cool, thank you. And then Mike, we've been checking in on Tuesday mornings. He didn't have any updates for this week for Stagecoach. Just kind of they're in the same holding pattern right now, and just maintaining kind of the routes they've had. Yeah. Anybody have anything else?
I have
Monique, do you?
Oh, yeah. Hold on one second. Okay, Linda, you go, and then Nancy.
So I just wanted to let everybody know that we have officially kicked off the Two Rivers Community Fund. So that fund is to raise money for direct financial assistance for folks who are dealing with disaster relief and recovery. So if somebody needs help with fuel or needs help with rent, needs help with a car repair, whatever, a variety of reasons that, a variety of issues dealing with their basic needs might be. So right now we're reaching out and trying to build that fund up. If anybody would like to donate, they can do so at the Capstone website. And there's a link, there's a drop down. You would just designate it to the Two Rivers Fund. And Monique, I don't know if you can send that letter along.
Yeah, totally.
But if people could share it with their networks and help build that up, because it would definitely be funds available to help folks in the Bradford area.
Cool.
So,
thank you.
Are there any questions on that?
Wondering if you can post that link in the chat box.
I'll just forward the email to the email thread.
Okay. Thanks. Okay.
Nancy, did you have something? Yeah.
Yes.
Then Marvin.
Ashley and I co-chair the community garden, and we have 3 to 4 beds still available if somebody wants to claim them for growing vegetables. And we have topsoil, we have compost, and we just got a donation of fertilizer from North Country Organics. And we do have vegetable seedlings coming. And looking out there now, it doesn't look too promising, but gardening season is just around the corner. If you know anybody who would like to raise their own veggies, the cost per bed is $20.
Nancy, can you just basically just write that up in a quick thing I can copy and paste onto social media? Just email it to me.
Do you want me in the chat box, or do you want me to just send it
do
to
it.
you?
I actually have already, I posted
you did?
it
Okay.
at one
Okay,
point
cool.
on Facebook, so I can
Okay,
I
awesome.
can just repost it or
Cool.
it,
Thank you.
whatever's easier.
Okay.
Also, that being said, this year, any extra food that's being produced at the community garden, we're donating to the food shelf.
Cool. Thank you. Marvin?
Yeah, I had a couple questions. First of all, I noticed that the number of cases in Orange County is ticked upward by 20% from 5 to 6. So, I mean, does anybody know whether anybody in this area is in that group, or is it Orange County is Randolph too. So, I mean, is there somebody in this area that's affected? And is anybody doing contact tracing in Vermont? I heard the thing on NPR the other day about contact tracing and the fact that when they have contact tracers and they're calling people up and saying, you've been identified as, being in the same room with somebody who's, that just seems weird to me. And if I got that call on the phone, I would be kind of freaked out. Does anybody know what the heck is going on with that?
Yeah, I think Ayla might have more to say about this, but Little Rivers had one positive case. last week. We posted it publicly, and that person was at the Wells River Clinic, was where they were tested. And what happens is once someone is positive, then they are contacted by the Vermont Department of Health. The Vermont Department of Health are the folks who are doing the contact tracing. And as far as how contact tracing goes, I'm not entirely sure how specific it gets. Ayla, do you have more?
In other words, it was a pretty good summary, Ashley. You're exactly right. The state Department of Health kind of determines from there, based on symptoms, risk of exposure, that sort of thing, whether or not to go ahead and move forward with testing. I think the majority of people that have been in contact, they are testing, given the fact that we have more access to tests. But yes, that's what's going on. It's totally handled by the state of Vermont.
Can I ask a question? Monique? I can't hear anybody.
Muted. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. So I just Googled the Bradford Community Garden, and it's been the last update on Facebook, and it's 2018. And then I scrolled around and I found the only stuff on the garden really is in Connecting Bradford group. Well, people might not look there. They might be looking for Bradford Community Garden. So that might be something to update or
That's on me, and I'm doing it. I will be doing it.
Okay, cool. So I'm going to share the other thing though that you sent out, Ashley.
I take the blame as well for that, Nancy. I also.
I'm not looking to blame anybody. I'm just saying, unless I'm doing something wrong, we should.
No, that was on us.
Right on.
We're using it everywhere else, but the actual community garden.
Cool. Thanks.
Cool. Anybody else? Patty, I didn't, did you have anything? I forgot to call on you during the business piece. Did you have anything from the bank? Okay. Anybody else that didn't have a chance to ask questions?
I'm not sure that this is going to matter a whole lot, but applications for the Walter Lee Committee are due on May 1st. So I know that we have one application, we have another one coming, but if other people know of organizations that are looking to do something, that's out on the town website.
Cool, thank you. Yep, Gary, did you have something?
Is Sarah still on?
No, she had to jump off for 12:30.
Okay.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
Does anybody know if the $1,200 checks have been sent out? And does anybody know someone who has applied for unemployment and is still waiting? Because I have a dad of a mentor who's been waiting 6 weeks and has gotten no money.
I know a number of people have gotten their federal automated 1,200 if they qualified for it, but I know plenty of people who haven't received it yet either. And then I started to see on Facebook this morning people who started getting their UI checks from the state of Vermont, they thought, because it was a state deposit rather than a federal deposit, and they didn't know where it came from. So it sounds like it was the automated one, and they probably applied for the unemployment through the state and didn't get it yet because that's still backed up. I was on a call with ACCD and whatever, this different state heads on last Wednesday. We have another one after this call, so I can try to give an update if they share more, but they basically said they're backed up several weeks and that it's going to be several weeks until they get the UI stuff figured out. Yeah.
So this is having a serious impact on the people who need it the most.
Definitely. One other thing that's happening, I think I mentioned it was going to happen last week. So we had a call, basically the community organizers for these types of groups in, let's see, we got together Bradford, Corinth, Fairleigh, West Fairleigh, Topsom, Reigate, Groton, Chelsea, Vershire. I don't think I missed anybody. Basically got everybody together on a call last week. It was kind of like these groups talking about what these groups are doing in different towns. And if anybody wants to like be in on those, we're doing them every 2 weeks. And it's really just to like bring what's happening here to the other towns. And then we've got a Slack channel, Slack workspace set up, which is kind of cool. Ted and Ryan, I might actually bring you guys in because at some point, because a number of the community organizers are select board members, and so they started comparing select board notes about how to deal with like the tax bills if people aren't able to pay at the end of the year and what everybody's doing. So they're having conversations in Slack specific to items that they're dealing with as select board members and community organizers because of COVID. So it might be cool to have you in there too, or anybody else that's interested in listening in. Cool.
Monique,
Cool.
when does that, you said they meet every 2 weeks. When
Yeah,
do they
so
meet?
we're meeting, so it's a meeting again next Wednesday at 5:30 p.m., like 5:30 to 6:30.
Okay.
And it's
Alright.
totally kind of casual, just who shows up. And then I can loop you into that Slack chat too.
That'd be great.
Yeah, cool. Awesome. Thanks, everybody. Have a good week.
Bye.
You
Thank
too.
you.
Bye.
All right, see ya.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for coming.